Hey Carson, I think Billy has given you some really good advice, so I would go and read his peer review because he does note a lot of the mistakes, like the not and the not in the introduction or your first sentence, the wrong use of the word polls. So he has really gone in depth on some things you need to change. With that being said, you have a really strong rough draft, but I would take his considerations to heart and make those changes. I would not start a sentence with the word and. Now, I'm not going to go through and nitpick on the grammar, so please make sure you go through this and read it. I like Billy's advice on reading it out loud. I think that's the most effective way to peer review, or not even peer review, to self-review your own paper. You're going to hear those things. You're going to hear if you switch your tenses, which I noticed that a time or two. You're going to hear grammatical mistakes, and you'll hear the word choices, that are being used incorrectly. So I would go through and read it out loud because the errors that you have are nothing huge. There's just a couple of them. So I would go through and do that. Read that aloud. So you do have a very clear thesis paragraph. Now you are using direct quotes, and anytime you use a quote, you have to have the in-text citation. So what this is telling me, you've done it correctly. Barack Obama stated that, and you use the direct quote. You don't need that comma right there because you can't see my finger. Right there. So right here, you ended the quote, but so that's telling me that so Barack Obama said it, but where? In a magazine, in an interview with CNN. So you have to tell me where you got that from. So let's just say it was for simplistic purposes, the Altus Times. Wouldn't put Altus Times. You would put the title of the article in the Altus Times. So let's just say that you read that in the Altus Times and the article was called Super Cool Article. So you would put just how you have it in the quote. Begin, no period yet, begin the parentheses, quote, super cool article, page number, in the parentheses, then period. So you have to do that after every time you use a source. So you say, let's see. 1, 2, 3. This is a little bit too long for a direct quote. You don't want to have more than 2 to 3 lines per page, and you have all of this. So you want to make sure that you're also using paraphrasing and summarizing because you don't want to rely just on your quotations. Okay, right here. You've already said his name. You've already said, so you don't say it again. So you would put, if this is the title, this, no PG, 2526. So title, no space, that space, not a comma. So none this, start with this, no comma, no PG, just 2526. Just imagine is implied second person. I would take it out and just start with if. Good, you've done this one well. This one, perfect. Well, it won't let me, this one, perfect. Okay, so you would need to say, I'm going to guess that that's your interview because I know him. So I'm going to say you have to give his credibility. Why is he credible on this topic? So Chris Kidd, comma, a something, comma, stated that, and then have it. But then at the end, now I know I told you on the other one, if you put the last name in the sentence, you don't at the end. The interview is the exception because that lets your audience know, hey, I'm using an interview. So at the end, you take out the period, direct quote, parentheses, Kidd, in parentheses, period. This is a comma splice. Same here. I would, since you've already said who he is, actually, I would just say Kidd stated, and then this, and then Kidd at the end. I am concerned because when you changed your font here, you need to see how it's like black and then it's gray. You need to fix that. It looks like you're only relying on direct quotes, and so you have to be using, you have to be using a variation of quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, or you won't get the grade you want in this class, or on this paper, because writing a paper, there's a lot more to just quoting. So you can't rely just on quotation marks. You actually are not supposed to have more than 2 to 3 lines per page of a direct quote. That's in the directions. So let's come down to your works cited. You have too much space. You need to undo the blue and the underline. Take this out. You have, the spacing is off here. This is bolded and it's not supposed to be. No blue, no underline. So you're close, but there's a few things that you need to do. I hope this helps. Please make sure you are implementing these changes and making these revisions, so you do get what you want out of this. And I'll help you more if you want. So watch this, take notes on it, go back and look at what I said, look at what your peer review said, read it out loud, and then make these changes, and then let me know if you have any questions.